Hey there, Pisces, and welcome to your week of January 10th, 2021 general tarot reading. We're going to be looking at your energy over here on the left side of the mat, over here in the center, over top of the moon. We're going to be looking at your challenges you might be facing this week, Pisces. And over here on the right side, we're going to be looking at some potential outcomes for you as well. We're going to get some more details on all these cards by clarifying them with some more cards a little later on in the reading. We got some pop-outs there for you. That's always nice. But these are general readings though, Pisces. So some of this, all of this, or maybe even none of it will resonate with you. If it resonates, that's great. That's wonderful. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't try to make something fit that doesn't. It's just not part of your message. So don't try to jam something in there, right? So looking at the start here, over here on the left, we've got your energy. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, the Justice card, which is Libra's card, and the Queen of Cups. So you may have Libra in your chart. I was going to say this week. I just did this with Cancer as well. I gave them maybe this week. I forget. I think it was for Taurus. But anyway, you may have Libra in your chart. So the Eight of Pentacles, it tells me that you've been working very hard. You've been putting in a lot of the time, a lot of the effort. Must be something in the water because Cancer had a very similar reading where they've been putting in a lot of effort too. So you may want to go give their reading a checking out too after this one. But yeah, just putting in a lot of hard work here with the Eight of Pentacles. With the Queen of Cups and the Justice card here, I feel like there's a very mature energy here, not just kind of in a sort of like matter-of-fact way that the Justice card would be, but also in an emotional sense too with the Queen of Cups, very empathetic, very much, making sure that your emotions, and not just your emotions, but others around you are good, like everyone's doing well. With the Justice card, we're trying to be fair and balanced, right? I feel like this is kind of balancing sort of not just your work, but like kind of what's doing emotionally for you as well. Are you throwing yourself too much into your work, and are you doing things that are keeping you emotionally happy and not like dead inside, right? Because that can happen to us, right? All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? So, you got to watch out for those kind of things, as well as doing things that you love, because you can't just be a money making machine all the time, right? You can't just go out there and monetize everything you do. I have a friend of mine that does that quite a bit. He does this thing called swag bucks, I think it's called. I don't really care for it myself. It's like just doing like things like promotions and stuff that earn like extra $10 or an extra $15 or something here or there. But he does like all this like monetizing of his life, and he kind of comes off transactional sometimes when he talks to me and other friends of mine with him. Like, we're friends with him too. He comes off very transactional sometimes, and that translates, right? But I feel like you've got that right balance where you're working hard, but you're also making sure you're emotionally still there. You're emotionally still available. So I love that. With your challenges, we got the Four of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and the Seven of Cups as well. The Knight of Swords, it's interesting because that also came up in Cancer's challenges too. So very much, I feel like something in the water here. You water signs so far seem to be very much have some pent up energy, really just want to go, but for some reason can't here. I feel like here with the Four of Cups, you're being offered something that you don't want, and you kind of just want to like deny, kind of like you're trying to deny offers or like turn away offers until someone finally gives you what you want, right? I feel like there's something very specific you want to because the Seven of Cups talks about a lot of options here, but where it's in your challenges, you might feel like there's only one thing, there's only one solution here, which is interesting. So I just feel like people keep offering you stuff and you're like, no, there's only one thing that I want, and this is what I want, and just, you're kind of like trying to get people to like offer me this, like to give me the thing I'm looking for, which isn't bad, of course. Like, I don't feel like you should just take what's being given to you just because it's being given to you, right? Something for myself where I used to get invited out to these like Christmas parties and stuff with my coworkers that like the company would put on, and they'd ask me if I was going to like the dinner, and I'd be like, no, I'm not going to the dinner. And they say, why not? And I'm like, well, I just like, they put up like whatever the meal was going to be beforehand. I'm like, I'm just not really jiving with that, right? Like, that's really my thing. And they would say, but it's free food. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean I want it. Like, you know, like I could come over to your house and take a dump on your doorstep. Like, do you want that? That's free. You know, that's not necessarily something you want. So I can respect that, where you're not taking that kind of stuff, where you're not just taking what's being given to you. But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of things here. There's more solutions than you realize. I feel like one of these cups you're super focusing on here, instead of like focusing on like what could potentially help me. Maybe you don't get offered the exact thing you want right now, but maybe you're going to be getting offered something that can help you. You can use that to get to where you want to be, Pisces. Over here in your outcome cards, moving right along, we got the Ace of Swords, the Temperance card, and the Page of Pentacles. I love all this. Ace of Swords tells you that you can overcome any challenge you face, right? The hand with the sword is over top of the mountains. Mountains are incredibly difficult to climb. They're quite challenging here. So I love that that's, you can overcome any of this. Like, you're strong enough, you're superior to do this. I also love with the sword coming through the crown. To me, that always represents saying that your mind, because swords represent your thoughts and communication. It says that your mind and your communications are what's going to take you to glory. It's what's going to get you to where you need to be, right? It's like your mind, your wits, your smarts, whatever that is, like whatever you look to be, whatever your brain does for you, that is what's going to get you to glory. That's what's going to get you to power. That's what's going to get you to what you would associate with, crowns, right? Which I love. With the Temperance card, this is Sagittarius' card, so you may have Sagittarius in your chart, or you might be dealing with a Sagittarius. The Temperance card is the 180 from what we were talking about here in your challenges, because Temperance is all about being flexible, about keeping your eyes open, about, willing to like experiment and, be flexible and willing to try different things to achieve the goal you want to achieve. So I feel like you're gonna have a big 180, because you're gonna realize there's a little bit more, like you're gonna have like this eye-opening moment where you realize like, okay, no, this is actually, I can do something here that will get me to where I need to go. It's just, maybe not necessarily the way I thought it was going to go. Maybe I mix this and I mix that, much like this angel's doing, mixing these two cups, and I'll achieve the proper solution to do what I need to do. I mentioned glory here with the Ace of Swords. This path leading to the sun in the distance on the Temperance card is called the path to glory. So I feel like by being a little more open-minded, a little more experimental, you're going to overcome any challenge you face, and you're going to move right along to that path to glory, which I love. With the Page of Pentacles here, you may need to do some information gathering. And for myself, I always say having a lot of options, having a lot of information at your disposal is never a bad thing. I feel like that kind of goes overlooked a lot of the time. Sometimes you can delve a little too deep. Of course, you can gather too much information and you spend too much time, just gathering information, not actually taking action. But I feel like with back here, you've got a good sense of balance. So I feel like you're going to strike that balance here as well. So I think that is going to be fantastic. That's going to be real good for you here, Pisces. So let's look. I want to call you Sagittarius and then Cancer after that, but we're going to look into your clarifiers here in just a moment. Before we do, thank you so much for being here. I hope this has been helping you out and resonating. Even if it hasn't been, I hope that everything's going good with you and yours. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all the love and support you send me as well. After your clarifiers here, we're going to tie everything off with an oracle card, so you're going to want to stick around to see your full message here. Maybe something will resonate a little further down the line here. So thank you again for being here, and let's take a look. We got some jumpers here at what we got for you. You got the High Priestess, the Page of Wands, and the Ten of Cups. I really like that. I feel like this is what you're working towards. The Ten of Cups, of course, is, your dream life, whatever that looks like to you, whether that's, happily married with a spouse and kids, or maybe just on your own exploring the world, or, settling down, having a family, those kind of things. Whatever that looks like to you, of course, that's what you're working towards. So I love that. That's fantastic. With the High Priestess, I feel like your gut is really leading you down the right path. The High Priestess also talks to us about how things are never black and white, right? And I think that might be something you need to kind of remind yourself as you're going through this, trying to only take one thing. It's either it's helping me or it's not. I think the High Priestess tells us that sometimes, you know, you may need to take something that's not helping you 100% right now, or not doing the thing you want right now, because it's going to help you later on. It might be a tool in your toolbox that you might not realize you need further on down the road, right? So I feel like that might get a little lost on you this week, but maybe just, you know, this reading will kind of keep that in mind, and it'll kind of remind you, maybe that'll work you through this funk here. With the Page of Wands here as well, Page of Wands, I feel like you got this high energy feeling going on. Like, again, with the Knight of Swords, just want to go, go, go. Page of Wands is that energy. The Knight of Wands is more that, like, let's go. Like, we got the energy back in us. Let's charge, right? But the Page of Wands really saying we got this energy, we got this spark, like we got the passion, let's go for it, right? You can see all these fires lit behind him. Just really, that's you just wanting to, like, let's go. Like, I got all this backing me up. How can I not overcome and not succeed here, right? So I'm loving that, Pisces. That's fantastic. Let's take a look here and see what we got clarifying your challenge cards here as well. What do we got? We got the Ace of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords here. Interesting that the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles are here in your challenges, because they're over here in your outcomes in a similar format. What I love here, though, is that the Ace of Pentacles is sort of like this idea kind of carrying you along, being like, this is what I want. This is really what I'm focusing on. I feel like that's kind of that idea we were talking about, that kind of narrow-minded, like, this is what's going to get me here, this big grand idea you have. And with the Seven of Pentacles, I feel like you're working hard, but you're feeling like, why am I not making the progress? Why am I not achieving my goals, right? Why is this thing in my way? You know, this thing kind of guarding this tree, this unicorn-like creature. Why is this figurative thing stopping me from achieving my goals? Like, right? Like, I'm doing everything the right way. I'm going after what I want. Why is it not working? And I would say it's because you don't quite have as much of a grasp on it as you think you do. If you'll notice here, this Ace of Swords is kind of on display, whereas in the future, you are holding on to it. This Ace of Pentacles is this grand idea versus being in your hands physically in the future. Again, I feel like there's this sort of like disconnect between what is like actually here and what's actually in your hands and tangible, and what is like not so much, like, is more in your mind, right? Because you keep getting offered things, but you're saying, I don't want them. I want this thing. Like, I want this stuff, but I'm being offered these things instead. It's like, okay, well, that's fine to reject that stuff, but in order to get these things into your hands, you're going to have to work up. Like, you're going to have to, you know, like, it's kind of like if you know, your first job. What was your first job? For me, I worked at a grocery store. That, not what I wanted to do. Definitely not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like a writer. I wanted to, you know, write and direct and things like that. Like, that was my whole thing when I was a teenager. But my first job was working at a grocery store, right? Maybe you worked at a McDonald's, or maybe you worked at a grocery store too. You know, maybe that was something like what you did. That's not something you want to do, but you got to do it. You got to do the stuff you don't want to do to get to the things you do want to do, right, Pisces? So let's take a look and see what we got for some outcome cards. You know, sometimes we got to do the stuff we don't want to do in order to achieve the things that we do want to do, right? This is part of life, right? We don't get to just shoot straight to the glory and the success. We got to work for it, right? So let's see what we got here for you. We've got the Five of Wands, the Six of Pentacles, and the Empress. Beautiful. I love that. The Empress is all about abundance. She's all about having an abundance mindset, not thinking in like a negative way, not thinking in a scarcity way, right? The Empress thinks that, you know, I may not have, you know, the things I want right now, but that doesn't mean that they're not out there for me to get, not out there for me to obtain, right? She's like, I may miss out on this right now, but there's going to be more of it down the road, right? There's going to be more opportunities down the road. There's going to be more things to achieve down the road. So I love that with the Empress. With the Six of Pentacles and the Five of Wands here as well, the Five of Wands talks about self-improvement. It talks about, you know, growing. It talks about training, getting better, right? And I feel like you're in that mode. I feel like you've got your eyes open to, like, there's all sorts of things that can get me better, not just this one particular thing that I've been focusing down on. Something that really interested me one time was Neil Gaiman. He's a writer, if you've ever heard of him. He's wrote some truly wonderful novels out there. Some things you may not even suspect have been like adapted into movies. Like if you ever heard of the movie Coraline, like that's based off of a novel of his. So things like that, The Sandman, American Gods, things like that. What's the other one? This is with an angel and a demon. I can't remember the name of it right now. But it's on Amazon Prime, I think. But anyway, these shows and stuff he wrote. And one time, so I remember him doing an interview or something where he was asked what his influences were. And he mentioned writers, of course, but then he started mentioning musicians and television shows and directors and actors and stuff too. And I was like, wow, like he's listing off things that like you wouldn't typically associate. And I feel like that's you keeping your eyes open for things that may not be like in this area that you're trying to improve, but are on outside of spectrum, like are kind of outside that spectrum. You're keeping your eyes open, being like, hey, that could help me out a lot. Even though that's, maybe it's an artist, like a painter or something, and you're more in like the, fitness area, but their mindset, their drive and stuff is like, that's really inspiring. I'm going to take that and apply it here. So I love that with the Five of Wands and the Empress, and with the Six of Pentacles as well here, trying to be balanced, trying to be fair, trying to like be generous as well. Like this person is offering up coins here to these people in the water, it's, being generous and being fair because he has some to spare, right? And that doesn't just go for like money and financial things. That goes for your time as well, right? Don't be afraid to, spend, if you got time to spare, you're not working on something, you're not doing something for yourself, to spend that time with your family or your friends or whoever, right? Always remember to kind of keep that centered. We talked a bit about that with the Emperor, with the Queen of Cups back here, right? Is to kind of say, there's always going to be more time to work on things that we want, right? The Empress, you're not going to be wasting time by spending time with your, your loved ones and stuff, right? Because you're always going to have more time to work on your dream. Like your dream's not going anywhere. The things you want to do, they're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Not to say you're not going anywhere at all, but more like you're not going to just drop dead suddenly, right? Like you have time to spend time with your friends and your family. Like that's really what's important right now. So spend time with them when you have free time to do it, and work on like whatever else you need to work on in the intermediate here, because it's about abundance mindset. You got all the time in the world. So that's awesome. I hope that's resonating and clicking with you. Let's tie this all off with an oracle card here as well, Pisces. Hopefully this is helping you out. Hopefully this is hopefully this is resonating with you. And let's see what we got for an oracle card for you. Oh, pardon me. Got the hiccups now. We got the Eagle Spirit saying Spirit has your back. And that's the case, right? Spirit has your back. You got all the time in the world. Work on it. You got momentum behind you. You got a good work ethic. You got eyes wide open here now. I love it. Like you've got that abundance mindset here in the future. You're going to overcome any challenge you face. Like why not spend time with your family? Because Spirit's got your back when it comes to like the work, when it comes to everything, really. Spirit's got your back towards all that. So I think that's beautiful. So hopefully that's helped you out. Hopefully that's resonated, Pisces. If you want to help out the channel, hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way you can check out your Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus sign videos too after this one and every week coming hereafter. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video.